because in my head I'm thinking, do the work. I literally remember creating Texture Talks Instagram February 2nd this year. It was me on my other profile, following me, and my mom. And my mom, okay?
Today, I am super, super excited to be joined by Paige Lewin, the founder and host of Texture Talks, which is a podcast about all things to do with textured hair. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Paige.
Well, thank you so much. What an intro. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm going to let you define Texture Talks for everyone listening, but before we get started, let's start with you. Can you tell me a bit about you and your hair?
Oh my God, yeah, okay. How much time do we have? So basically, I am 30. I turned 30 this year, and I am starting to learn about my hair this year, as in like from last month. And from being 14, accidentally getting a relaxer by a hairdresser that had no idea what one. You know, one of those where you're in like a rotation of about 5 women, everybody had a 2 o'clock appointment.
Mm-hmm.
You've had your head flung back in the bowl, like for about 2 hours. Like, do I get up? And I just thought, she's going to get something wrong. She did. That texturizer that I begged my mum for, that was a relaxer. So that mashed up my headpiece until I was about 18. And then I was like, oh, you know what will sort it? Wigs. That will fix the problem. So I ended up addicted to wigs. The glue came, the edges left. My bank was down to nil point. And I was like, this can't be it. So then I was like, okay, I'll do the big chop. But then obviously there's relaxer involved in there. So I did the big chop, went back to relaxer, still persisted to mash up my edges. And then you think I'd have realized the error of my ways, because I was like, I'm going to go natural. Lol, I went natural with color. So then I got addicted to bleach. And then there was a point where I just ended up bald. Yeah, just kept shaving my headpiece because I was like, I can't do it. I don't know what I'm doing. And only recently, because of the podcast, have I finally decided that I need to properly learn and grow a proper afro.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working with a trichologist who are the sponsors for our first segment of season 2, Fulham Scalp and Hair. They're literally taking me through the whole journey, because I thought I killed the game, was growing locks. I was like, yes, dreadlock rasta, nice. Now I can really do the natural hair care journey properly. And then I stayed playing around in Superdrug, bought one too many permanent box dyes, went in for a consultation, and they were like, your follicle has split in half, sis.
Your follicle can split in half?
Well, apparently yes, because mine did. So I looked in the microscope after she gasped, and I too was horrified and was like, I'm going to have to cut them off, aren't I? She was like, yeah, you're going to have to cut them off, really, because you can't maintain any moisture now. You've mashed up your locks. So I shaved it off. And I'm starting from scratch.
Okay. What a journey.
Yeah.
For anyone listening who doesn't know what a big chop is, can you just, in a nutshell, explain what a big chop is?
A big chop is when you're done. You've had enough of playing around with these wigs and these weaves and the double Remy and the virgin cuticle, and you've had enough. And you also don't want to keep chemically treating your hair. And usually what happens is you say to a barber, depends on how radical you want to go, barber or a hairdresser, I beg, take the scissors and the razor dem and shave off or cut off most of my hair. And what you'll normally be left with is a buzz cut or a pixie, so that you can try and regrow your hair again from scratch properly.
Okay. That is a very thorough. That needs to go in the Google dictionary. That
Someone
needs to go.
needs
Oh my
to
God, I called it Google dictionary. It just needs to go in the dictionary.
I'll take either Google dictionary or normal dictionary, put it in.
Big chop. Okay, we're going to, you know what? In 10 years' time, big chop's going to be in the dictionary. Said it now, claimed it. Okay, that's a journey and a half.
Yeah.
Number one, your hair looks great the way it is.
Thank you.
And I actually think for anyone who, in a world where hair is so important to how we look and feel, I think for anyone who can rock a shaved head, it's particularly women.
Yeah.
Props to you. And you know what? It means you love your face. Well, I'd like to think it means you.
My mum was like, you're lucky because you've been playing with your hair. She was like, the way you played with your hair. And I was like, that child's going to end up bald. And then when I ended up bald, she was like, you're lucky you're cute, Paige.
You know what's so funny? My mum, I went through a phase of wanting to just shave my head off when I was like maybe like 18. I was like, I'm just going to shave it off and dye it. And my
Sure.
mum literally said to me, she was like, you don't have the face for a... She just said you can't. And so,
Baby girl, no.
so at least you know your mum appreciates your face. And so
Yeah.
you've gone through this journey of your hair.
Mm-hmm.
When did you decide to start textured talks? Like, when did you decide, wait a minute, I'm going to start to talk about hair and make a podcast?
So when I was bald for the 4th time, and I was at this point shaving it out of fear. So a lot of people are like, oh yeah, baddie, bad baldy. No, I was scared of my headpiece. That's why I was shaving it off. It wasn't authentic baddie. I wasn't. As much as I would look that way and they were like, oh my God, you're so dramatic. I love it. I was doing it because if I had one kink on my head, I knew I couldn't look after it. It's really sad. So it was the 4th time of me literally getting a small amount of hair and being like, And my mum was like, okay, talk to me, because you don't know how to look after your hair. And I'm so sorry, because if I'm honest, I really didn't know either. And we all just kind of fall into like braids, relaxers, the odd very expensive hair appointment now and then. And after the hair appointment, I'd say 48 hours later, you still kind of look haggard. So in my head, I was like, it's true. 2 days and whatever you've got in that salon is gone. Okay. So my mum was like, so it's not even your fault. I don't know. Grandma's doing all kinds of something with Dax. So realistically, we're all in this boat together and we talk about it so much and you're clearly very passionate about it. So we need to find a solution where you can talk to other people about it as well and learn about your hair. And I was like, okay, cool. So how can I learn about my hair properly? Not just from influencers, no shade, but tired of going on YouTube and I'm following everything perfectly. And my hair doesn't look like your hair, miss. So I was like, well, it's not the influencers I need to follow. I need somebody that actually knows what on earth they're talking about. And then I was like, oh, if I did like a podcast, because then every episode I'd learn something, selfishly for me. And then I was like, but if I publish that, other people would learn something as well. And at that point as well, I was in sales and I was feeling really unfulfilled and just really bored. Normally I have some kind of creative side hustle. Didn't have anything. So I was like, okay. Let's do this. Did a bit of a Google, saw what was out there. And I was like, there's an opportunity here. If it was overly saturated and there was already something out there that I wanted to make, I wouldn't have made it. Honestly,
you would have been found it. You would have been using it.
I would have. Exactly. Like a lot of times people are like, oh my God, you're so innovative. No. Couldn't find what I was looking for.
Yeah.
That's it. I made it.
Okay. So today, when someone asks you what Texture Talks is, how would you describe it in 2 sentences?
Texture Talks is a resource to entertain, educate, and engage the Afro and curly haired community so we can come together on our hair care journeys and connect.
Oh, I can tell you worked in sales. I'm
Yeah,
sold.
you can. Yeah,
Yeah. I know you hit target. Multiple
every
times.
month.
And so for your audience, what is it that you want them to take away? By the way, for everyone listening, in case you're not watching this on YouTube and you're listening on the podcast version, Paige has a pal with her, which is why you're hearing some barking.
I'm so sorry. He's so angry, but I just put an empty wrapper on the floor. So that should take us to the end of the episode. We're good.
Okay, cool. So yeah, for your audience, what is it you want them to take away from your content?
I want them to understand, first and foremost, that they are not alone. There are many times where I know it sounds really daft and I know everyone will be like, oh, we know. Yeah, but it's one thing to know and one thing to be sat in your bathroom and you've had enough, or to be trying to do your hair before work and you've had enough. Or I don't know, you're thinking, do I get a weave? I'm worried about my edges. You go on the internet, you get overwhelmed, and then you don't make any decision. And you then are just like, I'm so done with this. There needs to be some community, some place that we can go to either vent, laugh, cry,
or feel seen.
Right.
Yeah.
And sharing it together. So that's why I thought, okay, as opposed to just doing the podcast, which is all well and good, what we also need to be doing is we need to be finding a way to like connect everybody together in real time. So that's why I started sharing my personal hair care journey on Instagram alongside it. Listen to me, tiny dog. Not today, Satan. Sorry, guys. So I then thought, okay, I'm going through quite a bit with my hair at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like every time I do the podcast episode, I learn a little bit more. And I know every time I do an episode, people sometimes disagree, which I actually think is fantastic because I want us to talk about it. So the key things here are, let's have a dialogue. If you don't agree, absolutely fine, sis, but I do need you to talk about it in the comments publicly so we can get different perspectives. Because what you'll find is we may not all agree on one topic, but there might be 5 different very educated or experienced people bringing their perspectives, and then one person is reading all of it like, oh my God, their mind is now completely open. And instead of only having influencers who haven't got a blood clot clue what they're doing, or brands that are trying to heavy press sales, we can get actual advice from one another, and we can choose what from the dialogue we take away as gospel. That's your choice. I'm not forcing you to take everything I say as like 100% fact. And I just want you to have an option. I want to give you the power back to actually have knowledge and choice.
Okay. I think there's 2 things you've said that I think are really interesting. In general, I think we live in a world today where it's really hard to just have a different opinion. And so I think it's refreshing for you to say, you're just kind of a channel, right? You want there to just be a channel where these perspectives are heard. So I love that. And on like people knowing they're not alone, I actually do want to say to you, I'm on this whole like not touching my hair journey, like as of 2 weeks ago. And so I've been, for the first time I did twists.
Yeah.
Twist up. So this is the second week I've done one. Yesterday I was loving it. I woke up this morning, untwisted, and I thought, I've got 15 minutes to get on this call with you. And then I thought, if anyone's going to understand my hair looking a bit out of whack today, it's going to be Paige.
It's Paige.
It actually doesn't matter because I'm going to be speaking to someone who completely understands. And actually, now I'm on the call, I'm like, my curls are kind of okay.
No, they look really cute. I thought you did it on purpose.
So I was like, honestly, I was contemplating, like, do I just like wear a hat? I was literally like, I'm going to put it in a hat. But this whole thing about feeling seen and knowing, you know, someone else has woken up today and you're going to see them and you're going to think they look great. And they're going to have the same thought of you of like, I nearly didn't wear my hair like this.
100%.
I nearly didn't do it. So
that's why I'm here.
It's important and it's needed.
It is. Because there's too many times where everybody is anxious about how they look. So then everyone's projecting their anxiety on other people and almost judging them because they're stressed about how they look. So if you think about leaving the house, I don't know, and your baby hairs aren't laid, you might in your head be like really anxious about the fact that you haven't laid your baby hairs right. So then if somebody comes in and they haven't laid them at all, you might be like, oh, someone's not ready. And you don't even realize that you're doing it, but it's your own anxiety and like negative self-talk and worry about what other people think about your hair. So it's like you're deflecting onto other people. So what we need is just a safe place where if I turned up with my cap, without my cap, it doesn't matter. Everybody is very much in the vibe of like, you look cute today, sis. Love your hair like that. And that's the energy I'm trying to put out there.
Amen to that. And it's funny, I went to the dentist before I moved to the States. And my hygienist said to me something that has stuck with me because I was conscious about my teeth. And she said, what people need to understand about what they look like is no one's looking at you that hard. She was like, literally everything you notice about yourself, which is probably true. You probably have those wrinkles, those lines. You probably got gaps in your teeth, but she was like, you look at yourself every day. But most people aren't getting close to you, I hope, that they are seeing that.
Things going on.
So, you want to motivate other people and you want people to feel good.
Yeah.
I've even experienced from starting this show, how have you stayed motivated, especially when you had 0 followers, no one, you don't know if your mum, you don't know who's going to listen. Like, how have you stayed motivated to keep going?
You know what is so interesting? I can barely even remember that period. And you know why I think that is? Because I didn't think about it. Because I was so steady making episodes. Because I was stressing, but I was stressing not about the fact that, oh, I wonder I don't think I used to check the metrics in the beginning. I was just stressing about, I hope this is good quality. I hope the conversation is really good. I hope I edited it well. I hope whoever listens, whoever watches, enjoys it. And my panic and stress just came from making good quality content for the community. So yeah, I was stressing. I stress about very silly things. I'm stressed about the fact that the dog might start barking in a minute. I'm stressed all the time. But at the beginning, I just did the work. And this is actually something, I'm glad you brought this up, because recently, and this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but I must say it. Recently, I've noticed there's a lot of people like, oh, can you please like my thing? Can you comment on my thing? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Can you share my thing? Can you give my thing 5 stars? And I'll do it to an extent, depending on who it is and how they approach me, I'll do it. But I don't like it because in my head, I'm thinking, do the work. I literally remember creating Texture Talks Instagram February 2nd this year. It was me on my other profile, following me and my mom. Okay? And I didn't sit and say, oh, auntie, would you mind following me on? No, just do the work. Just create the podcast and be consistent so people know that you'll be there again next week and the next day and the next month. And then slowly now we're steady. We're moving towards about 3,000 followers, which I'm very, very proud of because they're not like some people have 50K followers, but they get like 10 likes. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of engagement there from people that are commenting paragraphs.
I've seen.
And see, it's real, kids. It's real. I'm not lying. And I know that they are like 2,500 real people. They exist. And if the algorithm is not rude and actually shows them the damn content, they'll probably engage with it. So one thing I would say is this whole like metric hunting and like seeking validation before it's time, you're just going to put people off. Number one, you're going to look lazy because people are going to be like, I'll like it if I want to like it. Is it even good? But you're asking me to like and share. No, I'll do it if I come across it and if it speaks to me. And the third thing is your energy is going in the wrong place. Because if I was worried about, oh, I'm only on 10 likes, oh, I'm only on for 15 followers, then that energy is not going to be spent on, do I get Riverside or StreamYard? Do I get a dual mic from Lavier G1? Do I get Samsung mics? Like, I'm trying to level up my podcast whilst people are trying to like build up their metrics. And I'm like, the metrics will come. Stop with that because it just highlights how much graft is very old school, apparently. Hard, like old school graft and like hard work seem to be very like 1990s, where like like us millennials, we're used to that hard graft. But then it just seems like because a couple people got viral and a couple people made millies on YouTube, people aren't really interested in like doing the late nights and the early mornings, and I'm willing to do that, and it's worked out because it's authentic. So yeah, that's the main thing. I think looking at how I've gotten to the stage that I'm at, even though it's still early, is just because I didn't care about those things, and I still don't really. I care about people talking to me. That's what I care about.
Okay. So I'm shocked. No, I'm not shocked, but I'm a bit surprised that people really are. I can understand a mate who's getting started and stuff, but I find it crazy that. Let me just pause because of this. I find it crazy that. Not crazy. I stop using that word. But I find it just interesting that people are even expecting the numbers if they're not doing the work. Like the math isn't mathing. And maybe it depends on where your profession, your background and stuff as well. And I do want to touch on that. It's like you came from sales. You have to be a certain person to one, go into sales, two, to stay in sales for a while and be successful at sales. How do you think that's helped you with Texture Talks? Like, what have you applied? What are things that you think you've taken from sales that would be helpful for anyone trying to get started?
Everything. So I'll tell you what, I'll give you a really specific example. Sponsor. Yeah. I've started this in Feb. I've done one season with 27 episodes. I have a sponsor that is paying for 10, and it would have been 11 professionally filmed episodes. That's studio, videographer time, photography, and then additional ad spend. I'm not spending a penny on the first segment of season 2. And the way I did that is because I know how to sell. And I don't mean myself, I mean the process. So first thing first, canvassing. That's the baseline of my sales job. Canvas different types of companies. You then create spreadsheets and you put on each different spreadsheet a different category of business. So haircare brand, trichology clinic, tools and manufacturers, and then you find the top 10 in the space, maybe the top up-and-comers startups that you think are innovators, and then maybe some that you've just engaged with over time. Then you try and work out, what is my mission? And you try and look on press, news, LinkedIn updates. What are they doing right now? You even sometimes, I look at financials. That's how much my mum literally was like, anything you did in that sales job, child, you do it for your podcast. I was like, okay. So for my sales job, we look at financial data. We look at when the fiscal year ends and when it begins, because that's usually when they'll have budget to actually apply to certain new marketing activities. Then you will look on LinkedIn. You will find the key stakeholders in the business. You will also look how long they've been in that position, because you might have a founder, but they're a founder, for 26 years, but they haven't actually done anything within the business. So there's a CEO that's taking precedence. The founder is not the person you contact. You contact the CEO or the CMO. Also, if the CEO is 2 months in the job, and you realize the CMO been there 12 years, bun him. CEO can't help you. My man's just got his logins for his Outlook. He can't help you.
Yeah.
Go to the guy that's got tenure in the business, CMO. I don't care if he's below the CEO. He's been there longer. He's got more clout. Then you make a list of those people. You use a third-party extension. There are a variety you can choose from to get their emails for free. I use Apollo. And then you get the people them emails using LinkedIn Premium. You then create a tailored and personalized email, very short. People in these big paragraph emails. Now, I'm like no one of importance, and I still won't read it. Make it like 5 lines, have a deck. I use Canva because it's interactive, and it means a lot of people don't want to download anything from you anymore. They don't trust people like that. Don't be sending documents that they have to download. Either take it and put it in the body of the email, or do a digital link. Otherwise, they probably won't open it. Then make sure you've got your mail tracker set up so you can see how many times and who is opening the email so that you know when to actually follow up. And then what you do is you find a number if you can, and don't call them, because it's now, cold calling is very outdated. A lot of times people get pissy. You give it 2 emails, spread about 3 days apart, follow up with a LinkedIn message, and then you drop them a voice note to just say, hey, I found your number on so-and-so. So sorry if it's your personal line, but I'm very keen to schedule a call. I'm speaking, make sure they know that there's a time limit. I'm speaking with name drop, competitor, next week, next Tuesday, next Friday. And I've already had calls with Susan from other competitor. They're going well, but it's you I want to work with. And then you stay on them. Doing that has secured me a sponsorship with the largest Afro curly-haired trichologist in the country.
I'm going to give a round of applause for that. Even though it's just me and you, let's pretend it's a whole.
Thank you.
I mean, for anyone listening, there's not anyone, everyone listening, there it is. There's like free training. Thank you for sharing that. So, okay, let's jump to talk about hair. What are the top 3 biggest things you've learned about hair in having this show?
Okay. Ooh, top 3. I've learned so many. Right. Okay. Ingredient labels. Let's start there. So the order in which your ingredients on a product, the order of them matters. So if a product has, say, I don't know, oil, a particular type of oil is like olive oil conditioner. We've seen this many times, and you pick it up, you're like, bang it. Look on the back. There's a certain level at which, if you get to the bottom of that list, it means that anything below, I think it's like 1%, is listed at the bottom of the list. So if you see that olive oil that's right at the bottom, it means there's less than 1% olive oil in that product.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yes, the largest quantity of the ingredient is at the top. So you'll normally see like aqua, water. It's normally right at the top.
Always at the top.
Always at the top, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
What you also want to be very wary of is if aqua follows an alcohol. No, absolutely not. Or a fragrance, because it means that water, alcohol, and perfume are the 3 largest ingredients in that product.
I'm going to check my products after this. I'm going to check them now. Yep. That's kind of, the order makes sense, actually. Thinking about it, that kind of does make sense considering order of how much, but like, Yeah, I definitely look at products more, but the perfume thing is interesting. Like, it shouldn't really, even if it's in there, it shouldn't actually be that high because
It
it should
shouldn't be
be.
the largest. It shouldn't be more than the oil.
That's
What?
why everyone's hair's dry.
It, thank you. Learned that from one episode. That was with
Okay.
Sky Richards, and
Okay.
that's how to read products, ingredients, and labels properly.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
So that's one episode. Then the
Okay.
next one is, oh God, which ones? Okay. When it comes to massaging your hair, you are likely breaking your hair. The cuticle of your, right, just
Like
like
that.
that. Yes. So
Okay.
if you do that frequently, that is literally rubbing against your hair and
Really?
making it break and making it thin and break.
Oh, wow. I
A
thought
lot
we
of
needed to
people,
do that. I thought we needed
it
to.
does stimulate blood flow, but it can then cause traction if you keep doing that. So what they advise is to steam over hand massage, and then you
Okay.
can still stimulate blood flow, but you aren't just breaking your hair at the root.
Okay.
Yeah. Third one, and the reason actually I've obviously cut off my hair. Let's talk about dye. Do not use permanent box dye. Do not do that at home. I did about 2, maybe 3 over the course of like 2 or 3 months. And what happens is, especially for very afro hair, like obviously my hair is like very tight, type 4, if we will, hair. So it already gets dry super fast. It struggles to maintain moisture naturally. So what that means is my hair has lots of little gaps in it already, just from birth. How dye enters the hair is it makes holes in your hair cuticle, opens it up and hops in. Then it changes the molecular structure in your hair and then it expands and makes that hair that color. Now imagine if you already have dyed your hair before. Imagine if you already have high porosity hair. Imagine if you straighten your hair and you brush it all the time. So what that tiny hole that was already making your hair dry is now like this. So now you can't really maintain any moisture, but your hair is fire, stunning red, but it's dry and crispy. And you're wondering why. That's why. Oh, I can't hear you. Why can't I hear you?
It's kind of crazy that that's on the shelves.
So it is crazy, but at the same time, there's a
You
lot
need.
of things that I've learned, such as you're actually not allowed to say no silicone. I learned that in my season finale
Okay.
from the first Afro hair coach in the UK. But it's just something that's done. There's also a lot of things like, oh, we rid your hair of frizz. Apparently, things like that are illegal. You're not supposed to be able
Oh.
to say those
Like
things.
when
But
Red Bull says they give you wings and they literally
mhm.
can't.
But it stays there in the campaigns, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. So the problem is that because our industry isn't really regulated, so it means that someone will set rules
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll just never revisit them again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. I mean, I'm still stuck on the products thing. I'm actually going to check my products
No,
before I
you
get on my
should.
age.
Please do, because that's how a lot of people get away with saying, oh, we have a new range of aloe vera products.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look on the back
And they're
and it's
not.
like an aloe vera extract as well, the audacity.
Yeah.
Extract. And
It's
it's
like
at the
it's not
bottom.
the real. You're not.
It's not even real aloe vera and it's less than 1%, whatever kind of aloe vera it is.
Okay. So let's move to the future.
Yeah.
You now Texture Talks is your full-time gig. It's not a side hustle, it's not a side project.
There.
What are you excited about and what are your ambitions with Texture Talks?
My ambitions are to grow it so that it's an umbrella. And underneath that umbrella, we do live shows, we do panel debates, we do one-off documentaries.
Okay.
The easy thing for me is the mission is so simple.
So clear.
It's educate, entertain, engage Afro and curly head people. So easy. So I can do anything because I know that's what I'm doing it for. There's one project that I'm working on at the moment, really hard on, and it's a series unearthing the origin stories behind things like relaxers, Brazilian blow dries. Yeah,
Love
and
it.
getting
I
that on
love it.
TV because let me tell you why. the trichologist that I'm working with, she went to Afua Hirsch's, I think she had a meet and greet because she's got a new book out about decolonizing my body.
Mm-hmm.
In this meet and greet, they were talking about the origin story of hair removal cream.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to this and I was like, I don't even know what the story is. And I'm worried because I'm thinking anytime you learn anything about where anything comes from, it's just disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
So hair removal cream, basically everybody was moving to the city. They needed more meat being mass produced faster.
Mm-hmm.
So they found a cream so that they could scout the animals of their hair quicker. And some Egypt was like, oh wait, we could package that and sell it to women. What a banging idea. So that's how we got hair removal cream from like dead goats and pig being scalped for meat. Okay. So that's when I was like, oh, hold on, where did these things that we use in our hair come from actually? Because
Okay.
I was a little bit concerned. And I thought, maybe it's not that interesting. Maybe everybody already knows. I did one search and was like, Lord Jesus, Brazilian
Wow.
blow dries. It came from a Brazilian mortician who used formaldehyde to embalm bodies and realized the formaldehyde was straightening hair.
That's disgusting. Like, if you obviously sometimes you can find out shocking, but like when you actually think about what it can do,
No,
it's
but
kind of like that shouldn't be on your skin, that shouldn't be on your body.
And the FDA over on your side of the pond, they're trying to ban it now as a result because the fumes from the formaldehyde is now giving people cancer. And they're like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have listened to the mortician in Brazil.
That's
why I was like, okay, cool, let's do this properly.
So you're gonna be a media company, essentially. Well, not a media company, but you want to be that source of making sure that when we're talking about textured hair at large,
understand it.
You're getting it in the channels and in the places where we can educate more and more people.
Correct.
Okay.
On a bigger level. So it's not just relegated to our group chats on WhatsApp or our living room with our aunties. Like
that makes sense.
Everyone's talking about it. So why am I just seeing like reality TV and people like drinking Henny and like getting their puss out on TV? Like I feel like this is an important topic.
It is an important topic. So before we wrap up, I asked 5 quick fire questions. I just make them up. They're not okay. So are you ready?
Yes.
If you were stuck on a desert island and I could drop you one thing for your hair, one product or tool, what would it
be? Silk scarf.
Okay.
Because let's be real, sand, I'm going to be sleeping in the sand and I just need to make sure my hair is okay. Okay? I just need and not even the bonnet. I'm realizing now as well, you see, you can't unring the bell with this. The bonnet, the elastic band, apparently it rubs and gives you traction alopecia. So no, don't leave the bonnet at home. Grab the scarf, please.
Okay, I will drop you a scarf.
Thank you.
Who is one person you haven't spoke to yet on your show that you would like to have on your show?
I would like to speak to someone like Oprah.
Okay.
The reason is Oprah has come up through the generations before a lot of us were even here of like straight hair on TV. Do you know what I mean? Like conforming to that. And she still rocks whatever she wants to rock. But I feel like there's a shift in potentially like her intent behind it. I think there was a shift between I have to have my hair in a perm and now I simply like this style, and how she navigated that through the years. If there were wherever like any conversation she had to have, especially as she started to really like boss up.
Yeah.
Where she was like, no, I decide what I do with this head. Thank you very much. Okay. Like just a powerhouse in our community that's had to conform. I want to know how they've like battled against that.
Okay. I didn't think of Oprah, but yeah, that's she's seen it all, and she's obviously been through that, and she's been on TV, so she really this must have been talked about. So
it had to have been a conversation, especially when she had her own show. That was way back when she was young and fresh. I bet they were trying to take the piss with Oprah, and I just want to know.
Okay. We're manifesting it. If anyone's going to interview Oprah about hair, it's going to be you.
Yeah.
I can't call her or text her, but if I ever am in a situation, I'll let her know that you're waiting.
Someone watching, tell her, yeah?
Someone watching, someone listening, tell Oprah we need her to do this interview for Texture Talks. What hair trend
Mm.
do you think is going to emerge in the next 12 to 24 months in textured hair?
You know what I think might happen, and I hope I'm a part of this, and it's going to scare a lot of people, but this, honest to God, the big chop, but the big chop Afro chop, not the big chop pixie relaxed chop.
Like just chopping for the sake that actually like
no chopping for health.
Yeah.
I did an interview with quite a high profile broadcaster yesterday for season 2. And she was like, yeah, I'm gonna do what you've done, I think. I was like, yeah, on TV.
Start afresh.
Yeah, and she's gonna go to the same trichologist as well and do it like me. And just literally imagine doing it from scratch with a scientist.
You just know your hair would grow. You know your hair
you
would be
can't get
healthy.
it wrong. You can't no, I'm sorry. I can't get that wrong at all. So I think there's gonna be more of these where people are like, let me try again.
Okay. Let's see. I actually do think you can be on something because I've had that thought about my hair. Like I've been thinking about hair health, and then I'm like, what if I just start again? Because my hair, you could argue I've got enough hair to work with, right? But I'm like, would it just be easier to just actually let it grow again?
But the problem is the hair that people have, think about what you've done to it.
I don't want to think about what I've done to it.
That's why I think this will start happening, because people will start going to trichologists and the trichologist will be like, this is what your hair looks like.
Yeah.
And then people will be like, fine, I'll start again with your help. Because there's even people where it could just be over straightening. It could be just heavy brushing. It could just be simply your hair's really healthy, but you keep scraping it up into a top knot.
So actually, let's figure out what you need to do.
Right, and the corners are now pulling up, and now you have traction alopecia, like I do.
Okay. I might go. I'm gonna have to do it when I'm mentally ready to hear bad news.
That is the key thing.
I've got to be ready to just be
you have to be ready to receive it, otherwise you'll probably cry.
Okay. I think this is the fourth question.
Yeah.
This is the fourth question.
I'm open to
I think it's the fourth question. What is your least favorite hairstyle you've ever rocked, and why?
If I'm honest, I've loved them all.
Even the ones where you think they were questionable?
None of them were questionable. They were all fabulous. They were all listen, they were all fabulous. I say that with chest. The only one I had an issue with is when I was trying to avoid glue with my wigs and was trying to rely on the clip dem alone, and it was obviously then not enough for the front. So then the front was just straight flaps. It was just wispy, and the wind and the anxiety that came from a very windy day at the bus stop or on the tube, where you're like, I could lose it. Okay. I could lose it. If the tube blows and my grip isn't in, then I'm going to be stood at like Piccadilly with a wig cap on. And that's not a vibe. Someone will put it on Instagram. So that was my biggest fear, but it still looked cute. I just felt like I was going to like have a panic attack.
Okay. And the last question I have, and I tend to ask most people this actually, this isn't too much of a surprise. What are you listening to right now? Every time you get your hair done, music's on. So what are you listening to?
I love that you asked me that. Music is my vibe. Like, I actually am now considering, seriously, in the last couple of weeks, listen, dog, we're almost done, I beg. Right. So, I've considered making my playlist live, like public to people, my podcasting playlist, because it's just an absolute vibe. So always Miguel. Miguel is my alpha and omega.
Okay.
But then Kate Trinada. Okay. Heavy on Kate Trinada at the moment. And then what have if I'm honest, I've been going way back, like way back. So like Nothing by Noor, What's Your Fantasy by Ludacris, Big Bad Mama by Foxy Brown. That's been like on replay recently, just like an R&B 90s hop when I'm getting ready. That's been my vibe.
Okay, cool. I make a playlist. I made one for season 1 with all the guest songs. I'll make sure some of those are added to it. And for people listening and watching, where can they find you to follow your journey?
Where can they find me? www.texturetalks.co.uk. Okay? Oh, and Instagram. Find me on Instagram and find everything. That is at Texture Talks UK. Okay? UK. And then you can follow all my antics.
Oh, well, thank you for coming on. This has been a pleasure, Paige. I don't know, I've been watching your growth and being an observer and seeing the comments and seeing the love you get from folks in your community. And I really think in 2-3 years, I'm going to struggle to get hold of you.
That is the nicest thing anyone's ever said. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show.
This has been fantastic. Thank you so much. And trust and believe, I'm going to be telling everyone, be like, guys, guess who interviewed me? I'm hyped. So thank you for having me.